The other night we saw Dune Part 1. Connor, what is the plot of Dune Part 1?
Dune stars Timothy Chalamet as the prince of some planet. He's the son of Poe Dameron, and he's trained by Aquaman. He goes off to a planet, but he's ambushed by Dave Bautista, also known as Drax, because every fucking Marvel actor is in this movie. And they fight, and they walk around the dunes of Dune planet. And yeah, so Aiden, what did you think of Dune?
Well, it's complicated. So, despite what the marketing would lead you to believe, this is Dune Part 1, which wasn't on any of the posters or trailers, pre-release material. They wanted to hide it very well. So this is effectively the first half of the book, give or take. And to that end, this movie is very exposition heavy. It's 3 hours long, and the first hour and a half roughly is dedicated to nothing but exposition. And they toss in some action scenes a little bit to break it up before they get back to the exposition. It is half of a movie. It feels very much like half of a movie. It ends in a spot that is about where I expected they would end, but isn't entirely satisfying as an ending. I think everything about the movie's shooting is very nice. It's fucking gorgeous. It looks like it cost $1 billion, and this is just the first half, and they haven't greenlit the second half. Everyone's acting is very good, and I think the marketing on this movie is very deceptive. They try to make it look like Star Wars or like sandy Lord of the Rings, when in fact it's a political drama where people stand around talking about exposition at each other. And the exposition is delivered in nice ways, and it's the exposition is very efficient at getting everything from the books out. But I think a general person who wanders into this movie thinking it's Star Wars is going to be confused, disappointed, and bored. That said, I never thought that they'd be able to adapt this book. I've liked this book for a long time, and there have been numerous failed attempts to adapt this. It is very faithful, very, very, very beautiful, and moderately boring. And by moderately, I mean sometimes very and sometimes a little less. Connor, what'd you think of Dune?
Dune was a very well done Star Wars prequel movie. In that it's like random epic action scenes. It's few and far between.
Very few
and
far
everything
between.
else is just people fucking talking.
Yeah.
It's people chatting, people talking about shit.
It's very faithful.
Trying to make you understand what's going on more than showing you what's going on. They're like, we have to go to this planet because there were people before that made lots of money and we need to make the money on the planet. And then Timothy Chalamet is like, I'm not ready to be a leader, Papa. And then Poe Dameron's like, you're the chosen one or something? No, not Poe Dameron. Poe Dameron doesn't think he's the chosen one. It's the weird witch lady. It's like, it's so much exposition. I just found it to be a fucking bore.
It's a lot easier if you've read the book.
But then I would just read the book. I don't need to watch this movie. What was the point of the fucking movie?
It's a very good visual adaptation of the book, and if you enjoy the book, you're going to get a lot out of it, and if not, you're going to be confused and bored.
It just feels like something that shouldn't have been adapted into a movie.
Yeah.
People say it's an unadaptable story, and that's because it was clearly written in book format. Because this felt like this felt like reading a book.
Yeah, as accurate and perfect
But
as the
without
adaptation is, it still kind of fails as an adaptation because it doesn't work as a movie. It's just a lot of people standing around talking to each other.
Right, and if there was like an internal monologue or something, it might work better, but Unfortunately, that's not the case. It is really well shot. The acting is pretty good throughout. And the action is well done as well and engaging when it happens. But I just couldn't really get into people standing around talking for 3 hours. They're not even really doing anything exciting when they're standing there. They go into a room and they reverse shot talk for fucking 30 minutes.
Shot, reverse shot. It is not Star Wars prequels. But
it basically, yeah.
No, they have stuff going on.
It's shot well.
They have exposition scenes where he's...
There's one exposition scene where they're in the Dragonfly helicopter thing.
Well, there's the one where the witch lady has him put his hand in the box, and he has a little bit with Thanos when they're knife fighting.
Oh, I forgot Thanos was there too. Yeah, there's
literally
a few
every
scenes,
cave shit actor ever.
But like Poe Dameron, every time Poe Dameron's on screen, he's just standing there and it's shot reverse shot for fucking 30 minutes. 30-minute talking sequences where he's like, the water is so mine, we gotta get the spice. And tears are rolling out of my eyes slowly. My eyes start to turn dry. I'm getting fucking bored. Like, I don't know. It just seems like something that probably should have stayed a book to me. Or, because we might not get a part 2. Because how much money they spent on actors and shit, this movie probably costed $1 billion.
Well, they marketed the shit out of this to trick people into thinking it's Star Wars to go see it. What I'm thinking is, this one's gonna do okay, and trick a bunch of people into seeing it, because they think it's Star Wars, and they're gonna say, what the fuck, this is so boring, and turn it off. And then part 2 will get made and be a giga flop.
Yeah. I think, I really like the director, Dennis, whatever his name is, but the thing about it is, like, I could watch Blade Runner, which is exposition heavy and action light, but interesting throughout, where the exposition was kind of boring. Like, in book form, I could see it working with, like, an internal monologue and stuff, but in movie form, it's just boring as all Christ. That's all I have to say. And yes, they have every Marvel actor ever. And that was kind of distracting because they're all typecasted in my mind as, oh, Marvel actors here.
Where were the funny quips?
So yeah, Aiden, would you recommend Dune?
If you've read the book and you're already a fan, yes. If you haven't read the book, literally do not bother. I'm sorry. Yeah, Connor, would you recommend Dune?
Maybe if I read the book, my mind would change, but as it stands, it's a very pretty movie, really well done, really fucking boring, so I can't recommend it, just because it's long and boring, not much happens, and I'm sure if I read the book, I'd be more interested. Otherwise, if and when part 2 comes out, it might be more worth it to watch it miniseries style between like 2 nights where you watch part 1 and then you watch part 2. The old like Lord of the Rings marathon style might work better.
Yeah, it'll help when part 2's out, the part where things happen.
Yeah, because I could see watching it in the whole block when the whole thing comes together, but right now it's like exposition for the more interesting shit that happens later. That's what the movie felt like to me. Because it didn't really take off with Timothée Chalamet's story until fucking... there was 25 minutes left. And then you start actually getting like the protagonist's journey and the film ends. And Zendaya finally shows up with her mysterious ass that they hide the whole time, who's also a cape shit actress, might I add. And, then it ends. So it's like, I feel like with part 2 it'd be more interesting to watch in a lump as like one 6-hour thing, or watch it a couple hours at a time and treat it like a mini series. But as it stands, I just can't recommend Dune, especially since we're not guaranteed a second part as it is. So
Yeah.
If there's not a second part that comes out, it's gonna have been a colossal waste of time.